Hi, welcome to Purgatory Pie Press. My name is Esther K. Smith, and this is Dicko Faust. Dicko is the founder of Purgatory Pie Press, and I am the artistic director, which someone told me is the name for this crazy juggling act that I do. Dicko does the typesetting by hand with metal and wood type and prints on R3 letter presses, and I bring in the artists, conceptualize projects, design, come up with structures, etc., etc., etc. The juggling act that is the artistic director. So we've been here at the Brooklyn Army Terminal since April 2018 when we were priced out of Tribeca. We found that our studio in Tribeca was in 10013, the highest priced zip code in the universe. So we were very happy when Art Built had us come and be part of this community in Brooklyn Army Terminal. We love being able to take the ferry to work, which I had a lovely ferry ride this morning.
As did I.
We have antique equipment, antique and vintage, and our Peerless Gem is our oldest piece. This is a guillotine that runs without electricity, and it's all done with leverage. So this pulls down. And over here is some of the works that are in the EAB exhibit. Then you can, when you come to the studio, you can see them here. So this is a piece that we did with April Vollmer. It's an interesting, if you like that sort of thing, it's an interesting structure where one piece of paper folds and turns to become a book. I call it an instant accordion. And on the other side is a poem that goes with the book. The book is about mosquitoes. And the poem, it's an erasure poem using language from scientific and medical information about mosquitoes. These works are some of the pieces we've done with Bob and Roberta Smith, who is an artist better known in London and England, but he had an exhibit at PS1 a few years ago. This was a piece we did with him. It's also a print. We have print versions, but for the books, it's part of our instant book series. And this is a manifesto about the art party of the USA. It's part of the instant book series, which also includes this book, which is a project we made with a poem by Bob Holman. And it's called Box, and indeed, it forms a box. This is one that we did with Elizabeth Duffy. And she worked at the time with the insides of envelopes as a lot of what she was doing. So Dicko printed from stuff from the hardware store and other found things to give it the look of the insides of envelopes. And then one side you see white against white, and the other side you see pattern against pattern. And then this is one with Bill Fick. And this book reverses to become this book. I loved instant books, this very simple one. This is a regular instant book instead of an instant accordion. This is one with Jessie, Nebraska. And she has MS and began using her MRI scans in her artwork. So we made the plates for this directly from the MRI scans from her spine and brain. She's done autobiographical work her whole life, and it was fascinating to me that, you know, when she became seriously ill, she made that into part of her work. So this is the instant book series. And we've done many collaborations with Susan Hackerset over the years. This is a tiny book we made with her that relates to some prints, and those are in an exhibition at Center for Book Arts. Right now, it closes today. So Cartesian lace bricolage is first major project we did when we moved here. And I must say, making the box took an extra year. We had some wonderful helpers. Our helper Moon did a lot of solving the problems of this box working. So this book, oh, that's interesting. The light might hit it better from over here. So what we did, Susan Hackerset and I sat together and improvised while Dicko printed proofs of different things. She'd made these drawings based on Cartesian mapping. And math people will understand it much better than I do. I just love Susan's work for its beauty. And then I learned some math when I'm doing that. So she used cosine curves in addition, and it came out very architectural to me, but and I wanted to name it architectural things, but I didn't know enough about architecture for that, so we just numbered them. This is a book we did with Susan called Fibonacci Flower, where she took Fibonacci numbers and they appear in nature sometimes. So this one goes 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 1 is 3, and then goes 3 and 2 is 5, 5 and 3 is 8, etc., up to 34. And of course it keeps going, but 34 is as many petals as this flower gets to have. And then with our numbers, we made a version of it numerically so people could understand. And in this book, even the cover becomes its own accordion. We used handmade paper from Canada for the cover. And the cover sort of flips around to become it makes its own hardback, or at least semi-hardback, with the way it flips around and tucks in. So that's that. The other one we did with her was Box of Chaos. And that is chaos drawings that, as they progress, get more and more involved. Very straightforward drawings, but just the thickness of the pencil makes it go awry in interesting and beautiful ways. You can see from the inside too, if you can get a glance at that. So this is some of what we have at EAB and some of what we have at Purgatory Pie Press. Over here is the Vandercook Press, which is where we do most of our printing.
I'm working on a job right now, so I have ink on the press, so I'll do a quick proof.
But we won't show you the details because this is for somebody's, well, we don't want to spoil the surprise.
Right.
It's a paper anniversary present. And for this Dicko hand set, the type of a text that was read at their wedding. But again, don't tell.
Refreshing the ink.
I believe our press is from the 1930s, but officially it's from the early 50s. 1950s, that is. And these brass fittings on the press are one of the things that make it very unusual as Vandercooks go. It's also green, but I think that's because someone painted it green to go with the decor of their print shop. So this is our little Kelsey press that we got so that we could take it places and do demonstrations as much as anything else. It only weighs about 75 pounds, which means it takes I'm not picking it up myself. But it's going to be a star at the Brooklyn Book Festival coming up October 2 and 3. We're talking what year is this? 2021, where people will come and make their own print with us. It's also going to do a bourbon dinner pretty soon if all goes as planned. So the way this one works is it inks from here and then it the paper goes in there and it prints against this chase, which is empty right now.
And our other new press is a Nolan from Rome, New York, which we didn't even know existed before. But it's a very simple version of the Vandercook by a different company, of course. But it only has a cylinder that comes around and presses the whatever we put in here. And what I usually put in here is T-shirts.
Oh, like the one you're wearing right now.
Like the one I'm wearing. So, this is I Am Not a Robot. This is a little wood type robot that I constructed.
So you said this is our new press, and it is, but how old is this press?
Probably the 40s or 50s.
So 1940s, 1950s.
Post World War II.
And this one only weighs what, about 200 pounds?
Something like that, yeah.
Our actual press weighs about 1,000 pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that cutter, that Peerless Gem is like a very, very large version of an iron cooking pan, a cast iron pan, and it weighs a lot.
Yep.
So people often like to see our wall of wood type over here. This is type that we have that's pretty much odds and ends, like not full fonts of any of it, I don't think. But when we were in Germany, we had an exhibit outside of Berlin, and we visited. Eric
Spiekermann.
Yeah, Eric Spiekermann's beautiful press in Berlin, and saw that he had wood type that hadn't been used, that wasn't being used that much, but he had it just on shelves on display. And a lot of times people make art out of wood type, and I really don't like that because they'll destroy it, they'll glue it and nail it and stuff to make it into some art thing. But it's beautiful to be able to see it. So we took the idea from Eric and made these tiny little shelves out of molding and just put this type that would have been in a bin, we had some bins for it, and put it up there. And that is a lot of times what distracts people from looking at our artwork. When we were at Eric's, we were about to do an exhibit in Long Island City that was about language and misunderstandings of language. And so we made this fake languagey stuff that's part of what's on this wall. But these are those very large letters. I think those are bigger than what would fit on our press. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
And in Eric's studio, they had a press that was in beautiful condition, but no one had used it since he'd had it. So Dicko set up that press in order to print this type. The piece above there too that says Pew Form was that middle piece. That was another piece from the show. We based it on some language. Our older daughter had really interesting ways of saying words like pew form and mazagine and voluptuous. And so we use some of those words in the show, figuring kids' language is part of language. Above there are the prints that we made with Susan Hackerset, these Fibonacci spiral prints related to that tiny book I showed you before. So on this wall is, over here, is an example of some of our other works. And really, make an appointment to come visit us sometime if you like, and we'll show you more. Dicko's been working with moire patterns, printing from found materials. Some of them in the Elizabeth Duffy book, some of them were used, we were experimenting with these in different projects over the years really, and then Dicko did something where he moved them slightly to see what moire patterns would appear. It's kind of crazy. They like this one. This is roll, printing roll, and it begins to, it has this light coming. It's just very odd. And I'm getting interested. Oh, well, of course, once we were doing, he got excited about this, then I got interested too. So that's our moire pattern accordion. And up there is another version, that's a standalone piece. That's the red and blue one. That one's called Swivel. But now there's something I'm interested in with die cuts that when they move and overlap, that I notice these as I'm walking around, like see how a fire escape looks from different angles as you walk past it. And so we're doing preliminary stuff with that project, and hopefully, you know, in the next few months we'll have something to show. And one reason we started being at EAB was we were at the Brooklyn Book Festival and we had this sign, art $10 and up. And one of the founders of the EAB came along and saw that and was charmed and thought we should come and show. And so we began showing there. And we've shown there most of the years since then. This is the first time we've done it virtually. And so our art that's $10 and up is these small prints that we did over many years. And so we did 10 years of them, and then we took 15 years off when we had our second child. And then when our second child was old enough to cut linoleum, she did this piece as part of the series that we started again. And then she went to college, and so there we were, stuck doing them without her. But we have worked with over 100 artists and writers over the years with our various series. So, oh, and Dicko has found this, this preliminary thing that we're working on, which is the moire thing that's happening. Oh, let me show you just for fun. We have a collection of found art that includes these insides of boxes that we find on the street from time to time. And once at our old studio, which was close to our home, I was walking to the studio and I saw one and I picked it up, and it was a pile of them. And when I got to the studio, he had of course picked up the same one, because after all, we do sort of share a mind after 40 years together in Purgatory Pie Press. Thanks for visiting.